different scenarios that went into play with the selection of the successor. The details of that we can discuss in a closed hearing with regard to the intelligence reporting.
Is the regime in Iran now trying to promote the deceased Ayatollah as a martyr who should be followed, and does that help them consolidate support?
Senator, the Iranians are certainly using that as a call to action. The effects of that from an intelligence standpoint remain to be seen.
There is a tradition in Shia, though, to honor martyrs. One of their greatest celebrations is the martyrdom of the grandson of Muhammad. Is that correct?
That's right.
So we might have played into their cultural biases erroneously. General Adams, what conditions do you assess would need to be present to make the regime collapse or necessitate, excuse my voice, unconditional surrender? And can it be done with air power alone?
Senator, we have at the Defense Intelligence Agency put together a number of scenarios coordinated across the IC with regards to what we would forecast the future would be. There are 4 specific goals that we've been told to track and analyze with regards to the goals of the U.S. Effort. They've been articulated earlier in the hearing, so I won't hammer on those. But with regards to the collapse of the regime, specific perpetuation, like what would precipitate that, we would like to, I would prefer to talk about that in the classified hearing.
Well, I understand, but there's a very basic question here. Will air power alone be able to destroy this regime, given the culture, the politics, the temperament of these people? The Iraq-Iran war lasted for 8 years with 1 million casualties. Do you think air power alone will do it?
Senator, the capabilities that our joint force brings to bear can accomplish many missions. To forecast exactly what can and can't accomplish this goal, I prefer not to guess or prognosticate on that.
Well, I'll recognize your professional position. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff recently stated that Russian leaders told Trump in a call that they were not sharing intelligence with Iran. Witkoff said, quote, "We can take them at their word." Director Gabbard and Radcliffe, do you take President Putin at his word?
I'll go ahead and answer. No, I don't take Vladimir Putin at his word.
Are they providing intelligence to the Iranians?
Well, we talked about this before.
Yes, sir.
In the classified session, what we can go into is that the Iranians are requesting intelligence assistance from Russia, from China, and from other adversaries of the United States, and whether or not those countries are is something we can talk about in the classified portion.
But you've made an assessment. You've analyzed traffic communications, and you can...
I know the answer and happy to discuss that with you in the classified portion.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you. One of the aspects of this is the collateral effects, particularly in Russia and Ukraine. We were just talking about Russia probably or possibly providing intelligence with maybe interfering or inflicting casualties on our forces. Russia is also benefiting from the lifting of sanctions on their ability to sell oil throughout the world. I heard one estimate of a $20 billion surge in their potential revenues. Ukraine, on the other hand, is facing perhaps a disrupted supply chain of missiles and other equipment because they're being devoted to this operation. So General Adams, can you just give me your impression of the effect of the battle on Russia and Ukraine at the moment, of this battle?
Well, from our collections, the effect of the epic fury on the Russian-Ukrainian battle has been indirect, not direct. We do track very carefully what benefits or, as you alluded to, the collateral effects of what we're doing and how it impacts. There is a lot of, from both the Russians and the Chinese, observations of what we're doing and figuring out what they can learn from that. So I think that's a collateral effect as we expose what the joint force displays on the battlefield. I think we can talk in a little more detail as we move to the classified session, some of the things that we're collecting specifically about what those effects are.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Ossoff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here. And before I ask you a few questions, I want to call everyone's attention again to this fundraising email signed by the President that Senator Kelly mentioned earlier, in which the President of the United States invites his campaign donors to, quote, claim your spot, join now to receive private national security briefings to his political donors, featuring a photo of the President at a dignified transfer ceremony with a flag-draped coffin of an American service member killed in action returning to their family. And the American people need to know that the President of the United States is fundraising for his political campaign and his PAC using images of American service members killed in action, and it's a disgrace. Now, Director Gabbard, I'd like to reground this in your core responsibilities. Under the law, you are responsible for providing national intelligence to the President, correct?
Yes,
And to the heads of executive branch departments and agencies, yes?
yes.
And to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and senior military commanders?
Across the IC, yes,
And to the Senate and the House and relevant committees, correct?
yes,
And the law states that the national intelligence you provide to Congress, quote, should be timely, objective, and independent of political considerations, correct?
yes.
And you noted in your opening statement you're here fulfilling a statutory responsibility